do think it's really interesting, these hard pursuits that people take on simply because they're hard.
It definitely attracts people that I think thrive with the challenge, regardless of the challenge, regardless of what it is. A lot of it is that just the challenge alone is what draws them to it. Like whether it's the Rubik's Cube or chess or whatever hobby you're talking about. It is a path of mastery that you have to enjoy the boring periods.
Because there is no there.
Never.
Right.
You're never going to get to an end destination with
No, it's such
training.
a joke.
Yeah, it's not. You're never going to reach it. There's always another 5 pounds.
Right. And realizing that essentially, especially I don't compete in anything anymore. So now the training really is this GPP for the rest of my life. Like I want to be fit to be able to say yes to awesome experiences. I want to be in shape enough to be able to like, oh yeah, I can go do that. Like that just gives me more options of if my stupid brain says, let's go trek and try to climb Kilimanjaro, I can put together a plan and do that.
But your training sessions don't matter any less.
Nope.
Not
They're
any
still
less.
just as important.
Right. Man, the value that I've gained in my life from that lesson at such an early age, at like 15, 16, whenever I was exposed to that, I got pulled out of the matrix at 16.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like
a little bit. Like, because I definitely didn't get pulled out. Like it wasn't as crazy a change in my life finding lifting, but I also had just immediately found it for football, and my brother had already done it. So like none of this, it was just, that was the course.
Yeah.
That you start lifting at 13 or 14 for get better at sports.
Because Andy did it. And
Yeah.
that's what
That's
what
how this
men
goes.
do. Yeah. Yeah. Your dad, labor worker, working hard. This is what men do. Andy did it. I'm going to do it too.
This makes me better at sports. Sports are probably the route I'm going.
Got it. Yeah. Man,
So you had a very different kind of experience with it, I guess.
Man, I did. I guess I grew up because of, I had 2 parents that were both self-made and are very successful. Like my mom put herself through law school, went to WashU and has been a successful attorney for, 4 decades. My dad moved here. He immigrated from Italy in the 70s. He literally moved to another country and learned multiple languages and ran a business for 3 decades. Okay. And is now making, he literally keeps his bills paid by creating paintings and selling them online. That's what these are talented, high achieving people.
Yeah.
And I was, I grew up in this environment, around these 2 high achievers, a little bit. I don't know if I was resentful or what, but I guess I just grew up with a chip on my shoulder about none of what I have is deserved. Like none of what I was given.
You just mean like the advantages you've got in life.
Correct. Yeah. And I always had this sense of like, I have to do something. Like both of these people, pulled themselves up and created something out of much less situations than what I'm being given. And I felt a lot of pressure from that. And truly, like, I just pissed my way through school. I could care less about high school. I barely got out of high school I didn't even graduate high school.
No, right. You got expelled.
I got expelled.
I remember
remember
that, right? Because I remember there were a few, oddly enough, right? Like, so Brant, this whole goes back far enough that, like, so when I'm doing strongman and just getting into Highland Games, like I'm still now traveling and doing outside sales. And so one of the ways I would make trips work out so that they were cheaper and I could train places is I would stay at friends' houses. I would fucking on the road stay at Max's mom's house up in Alton and like train there for a few days and then move on. Cause he had a great garage gym set up. And like
had plenty of gravity. It had plenty of gravity there.
And so like we've been doing it, like I'm sleeping on a couch, like at his mom's house.
Okay.
Right. Like, so this.
And you were what, 26, 25?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Fucking full adult.
But I wasn't, I was probably 16, 17 and actively competing in a sport. So like
Yep.
I would see you once, twice a year.
Yeah,
and
at least.
Yeah. And it wasn't just like, it wasn't just like by happen chance. Like in Dallas,
No, we
when
chose to hang out.
Yeah, exactly. We enjoyed each other's company.
Absolutely.
And you're like, hey man, I come through St. Louis, frequently. Like I'd love to train with you whenever
Yeah, I would
come
always
through.
stay there anytime I had work.
Exactly.
And never
But
stay at a hotel.
Right. Yeah. It's not like you're making it sound weird. Like you're just like imposing on some 16-year-old. Let me stay at your house.
No. I was invited and
Yeah,
we'd
exactly,
known each
exactly.
other. Yeah, shit.
You're right.
Sorry.
Yeah. No,
But yeah,
wasn't an
we'd known each
imposition
other
at all.
through a couple strongman things and training. And then, yeah, because I was coming up to train and you had a spot and had a basement essentially that I slept in.
Plenty of space.
Yeah.
Plenty of space.
Now that I understand basements.
Yes. Yeah. Basements are great.
Oh, yeah,
Pretty cool.
You didn't have one of those.
Not
I always
from
forget that.
Louisiana.
I always forget that.
No, man, you can't have enough fill up with water and alligators.
Why do you want a whole room for water and alligators in your house?
You only need a backyard
Yeah,
for it.
fuck all that.
Not an underground pit.
No, sir.
So yeah, going through all that. So you start kind of realizing that you need a thing.
I wasn't actively seeking it. I think it's just naturally, what teenagers do. They, kind of dabble in this and dabble in that until you find like your fit.
Or should.
They should, yeah, right. I mean, that's just it is the most appropriate time, I think, in a young man's
I think
life.
that in college.
Yeah,
That's really what it's fucking for. You're not an adult yet.
right. Yeah,
It's
that's
just a holding pen.
15 to 20, 15 to 25. Like, you're figuring out
You're almost 30.
who you're gonna be. We could get into Jesus age right there. Like, I'm 30, guys. I'm gonna move out now.
It's a good time.
Change the world, but. Yeah, I had a natural affinity towards it. I enjoyed training. I just got exposed to it from, high school wrestling and really got into it. And then started competing because I just, again, naturally kind of gravitated towards wanting to see like, oh, where do I stack
Well, and
up?
it was such a new thing.
Yeah.
And it was very much at a time that this was like one of those first things that I remember getting to experience of like, I've seen this on TV and I've always fucking wondered what this was like. And now I'm getting to do it.
Right. It's surreal.
Yeah.
It really is when you first start getting into it. At least it was like 15 years ago.
Yeah, sure shit was for me. Like I said, we had to build all of our own equipment, scrap them together.
Yep. And, through that pursuit of knowledge, I met Rob. And Rob mentored me and coached me on, form and technique and all that stuff and just like basic programming, methodologies like, hey, on the weeks that we're going up for a heavy double or heavy single, about 3 or 4 weeks out from the meet, like you can back off your gym training before that. There's a very rudimentary, like,
Sure.
oh, you're going to save a little bit.
But you gotta have a start.
And then go hard on the weekend. We're going to get, figure out our openers and our seconds and stuff like that. So I got exposed to those fundamental principles from Rob and from that group of lifters here in St. Louis, training at just hole in the wall gyms and garage gyms and basements. And what I mean by getting pulled out of the matrix is this is the medium that showed me that I have agency in my life, that I have control over something. It might not be that significant to anyone else, but that one thing was enough of a momentum builder for me to drastically change the path of life that I was most likely on. So much so that again, a horrible student in high school, could not have cared less, didn't even graduate because I got kicked out my senior year.
Did you get kicked out for doing donuts on the football field?
Exactly what I did. That's exactly what I did.
Nice work.
So,
I'm glad I remember that. That's stored away.
Yeah, that one's there forever. That's permanent memory.
Fuck, I know it.
Think about all the bits of information being wasted
Yeah, how
by
many
that.
things Bonnie's mad about that I don't remember, and yet I know what you got expelled from high school for? Fuck, I'm carrying that around.
She's going to
with
be
me all the
jealous.
time.
Yeah. So it's again, the agency that I discovered that I had in my life, like just the control and how I can manipulate my environment around me, is what I mean by being pulled out of the matrix, like that metaphor. I'm a very good student in college. I became a great student in college because I wanted to be.
Well, you figured out the recipe to success, right? And whether and I talk about that a lot, but it's the same deal from the weight room, right? It's that show up and do the fucking work every day. The other part takes care of itself.
Yeah, like for school, for me, it was just learning how to learn, and then applying myself and you know, memory recall. Like these things are not that hard. Like, you know, most people are much smarter than they give themselves credit for. You know, if you have a kid, 14, 15-year-old kid that thinks they're just a bad student, like, yeah, you're going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy if you keep that positive feedback loop of telling yourself, I'm a crappy student, and then you go and just don't care about the next test you have to take, and then you do horribly on it, right? It's just a constant loop that you're never going to get off, or you're never going to get out of.